the tournament, I think, yes, it's an opportunity to win a trophy. And by the way, another trophy for this U.S. men's national team, having won Nations League a little earlier this summer. But I think more importantly, it's about finding players that we potentially see participating in the qualifying process, the World Cup qualifying process, which starts this fall. And then, knock on wood, we qualify for the Qatar World Cup. Then in November and December of 2022, when we're in Qatar, having players that we see right now as, yeah, these guys can help. So, for example, a goal scorer. Every team needs a goal scorer. The U.S. men's national team, as awesome as it is right now, we're still lacking that person up top. So a guy like Daryl Dike, who scored a couple goals last night, I think a lot of people are saying, hey, could this be the answer? This be our savior to lead us to the promised land when it comes to not only winning, but scoring goals?
Has the sting of missing the 2018 World Cup, has that worn off? Or what's been I don't know, the effects of that huge blow to our soccer program?
It was bar none, the biggest failure in U.S. soccer history. Men's, women's, doesn't matter, okay? Not qualifying for the 2018 World Cup. And I think it was jarring. It might have been that one step back in order to get two steps forward, because we're also now faced with the team, when you talk about all of this young talent that's playing at some of the best clubs in the world, and Christian Pulisic and the Weston McKennies and the Tyler Adams, and the list goes on, and then the domestic talent that we have playing here in Major League Soccer. We're also in pretty heady times, and it's amazing to me how quickly we've come from the lowest part and the lowest moment in U.S. soccer history to arguably the most bullish and optimistic, cautiously optimistic, but optimistic moment when it comes to how we're talking about this U.S. men's national team. So I'm real excited for the future. I am incredibly, as I said, bullish about this team coming together, not just for next year in 2022, but also as we look forward to 2026, which we know we are hosting, by the way, with our friends from the Great White North and our friends down south in Mexico.
It sounds like we finally, maybe for the first time, have comparable talent to some of the other, really powerhouse countries out there. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, and I think it's justified for us to be excited. I know as American soccer people, we are very cynical, okay? And I think it's fun, and I think it's justified and warranted for to be this optimistic about these players that we have. And we have, I mentioned, the more high profile players like your Pulisics and your Weston McKennies who are playing at Chelsea and Juventus respectively. But we also have some really good emerging talent. So, I mentioned a Daryl Dike who we saw last night, or an Eric Williamson who plays up in Portland that we saw play last night. And I think that Greg Berhalter made it very, very clear at the beginning of this tournament. He said there will be players that will factor into World Cup qualifying, which is the next big thing this fall. And that's an interesting thing to take from this tournament. Yes, the scores are important, but what happens within those games, I think, is going to go a long way to dictating some of the lineups and some of the performances that we see in that World Cup qualifying process, which is going to come sooner than we know it.